Okay, so good afternoon, good morning to a few of you. A lot of you, it's good afternoon. So this is our next to last session of the Data Summit. So I appreciate all of you that have been with us yesterday and today. Melissa, just real quick, can you see a little black screen on my screen, or is it looking fine? Sometimes
No,
okay, good.
no, it's good.
Okay. So let me talk a little bit about what Connecteam is and provide the background, and then we're just gonna delve into some of the things that you can do with Connecteam. So some of you might have been on the presentation yesterday where I was giving a little bit of an overview, but several years ago, I think about 3 years ago, with IDRC, we were supposed to find a tool that could help track recruiters' efforts and kind of document efforts, not really to just kind of micromanage recruiters, but to keep better track of what we're doing out in the field and how we can be effective with our time and seeing, where we need to be at different times of the year. And so we needed to come up with a tool that everyone could use, but the problem was everyone has different needs. And so one state might have been wanting something that's for mileage, and somebody else might have been wanting something for tracking home visits. And so we were trying to find something that was cost effective, that would be helpful for everybody. And we came across Connecteam. And so the IDRC states at the time piloted it and they tried it in different ways. One year we did a farm survey report that everyone kind of went and gathered information when they went out and did farms with their recruiters, and that way they could build a farm database. And so we've used it in a lot of different ways, and we didn't do a ton of training on it last year. So most of our states already knew about it, but now we have new states. And then Connecteam is also free for up to 10 users. So we thought it kind of made sense to just let everyone know about it. So we don't get any money from Connecteam. We actually pay for our IDRC accounts because we have an enterprise account. But we believe in this tool and want to make sure that people know about it and that they can use it. And so here are some of the things that we're going to talk about in this beginning one, and then back to back after this one, I'm going to do a more advanced one. So I would suggest, if you're wanting to know about the capabilities of Connecteam, that you go to both, because it would let you see advanced or just things that are beyond, the basic reporting and getting people into the system, and just kind of, you can see the breadth of what you could do with Connecteam. So IDRC offers this to our states. We don't require them to use it in any particular way. We do believe in keeping really good data. If you go to our website, you see we're all about data and different things that we can do to kind of help states. But some of the things we're going to be talking about is how to add users, how to make sure that they're assigned to the right area, how to create an admin, make someone an admin, how to create what's called a smart group, and you'll know what I'm talking about in a little bit, how to kind of see how your users are using it, and how to set up your reports if you're going to create a report where you want to put it in, how to create an actual report, understanding what you need to put in that and how it's going to work. We have some created templates of reports that states are already using. And so we'll share a little bit about that, how to create a template, how to assign a report, how to make sure that the right people can see the reports, how to get automatic updates, how to remind staff to fill it out if they're not filling it out, the chat functions and different update functions, and understanding how you can communicate within the app, how to review your reports, and how to provide automatic feedback to recruiters or those that are filling out the reports. And then there's a whole bunch of just Connecteam resources that we're going to share that you can see. So there was a question, do we have to be a member to join Connecteam? So to join the IDRC one, we have an enterprise account, and so nobody has to go directly to Connecteam and like set up their own. They just work through the one that we already have. If you're not a member state, then you can, Melissa, if you can just put Connecteam, the website for them, you can just you can set it up for 10 free accounts. And so, but we do have a larger account and more access. So of course we do pay for that. So understanding your account. Few things, if you have an account and you are a recruiter, for example, and you're not an admin, there may be some things that I'm sharing today that you can't do. So there are some things that admins do and some things that just users do. So all admins should have access to what we share today. I do think it's helpful for those that have regular accounts to know the capabilities in case there's something that, like maybe you're wanting to make sure that you can see your reports that you turned in and you're not able to see those right now, like how that would work. And like it says here, it's helpful for user to understand how it's set up, the design, and maybe have some understanding in case you need some additional tools for your state. So we're going to record this. with all of the other Data Summit trainings that we have, and it'll be available on our website. And then we provide individual assistance to our member states in designing the tools that'll help them use it. So if you are one of our member states, especially if you're a new state, any of our states, you can reach out and we can work with you individually on how to work with this. So I have some slides that I'm going to share. I am one of the admins for the whole account, and so I have to be careful in this what I'm sharing, that I'm not putting names of people and you can kind of see. So I am going to share, sometimes I'll share with you my actual account, but I'm going to try to share with you screenshots. That way I don't just share anybody's information. So the way that it works is you add a user in. And so we prefer that you directly add a user once you have an account. Over here on this side, we always have it's just kind of like the directory. And so we have an overview. We'll share with each one of you guys. Overview and activity kind of lets you know what your users are doing, what they're seeing. And then there's a little panel over here that says users. And when you click on that, it'll open up and it'll look similar like this. So if you already have some users in there that are assigned to you, you can see those names. But if you want to add another one, it'll just say add user and you click on that. So you can send them a code, which we don't like as much, because then everyone that has an account will say Jessica's trying to join. And so you may say, well, who in the world is Jessica? And do I want to add her or not? So we ask everyone to just directly add any of their users once they have their admins are set up for their state. So here is where you can invite the link. We prefer you don't use this and you directly add. And she would need to add in their first name, their last name, their mobile phone, and their email is the absolute requirement. Then you want to make sure that you assign them to your state. If you don't, and let's say I'm the state of Missouri, I will only be able to see the things for the state of Missouri that are assigned to me. I wouldn't be able to see Delaware. I wouldn't be able to see Idaho. I can only see what's set up. So if I go in and create new people and I don't put their state, I won't see them because it's not going to be assigned to me. I have to make sure that I fill out that information. Once you put that in, you can also assign them to a specific area. So you have here first name, last name, mobile phone, email, state, position, title, and then there's some additional things that you can kind of see on this section. And those kind of things are, you can assign them to a region, to a position, things like that for a user. So once you have your users in, it says, in order to make an admin, we don't let you guys add admins. You have to just let me know. The way that we set it up, let's say Texas, for example, wanted to have more accounts, the state administration would have the first accounts and they can then add people in. And so they can add as many people as they want, but in order for them to be an admin, they need to request that. And that's just so that we make sure that the permissions are really set how states want them and that we don't have random people having access that shouldn't have access. And if you have questions, put them in there. So the next thing down, we have overview, activity, and then we have users and smart groups. So the way that the Connecteam organizes things are by what they call smart groups. So here's an example of one smart group right here. So it's different regions of New Mexico. There might be Deming and there might be Las Cruces. So if I am an administrator for Missouri, I can go in and set it up how I want things to be set up in my state. For example, maybe you have two regions and the two regions don't need to see each other's things. They just need to have their own separate. So I may have Northern and Southern. I can go in here and do what we call add segment and create a smart group and assign specific filters so that only those recruiters, only those people are in that particular smart group. So smart groups allow you to divide people by regions or positions, by filters, to make sure that only certain people are in that particular smart group. And then over here you see administered by. So if I was in Idaho, for example, state administration, they could administer each one of these, but it would also be administered by their local people in that particular smart group, that particular region. Now, one thing to think about, let's say that I set up an account for someone and I put them as an admin and they open up their account and there's really not anything there. If they're not assigned to a smart group, if they're not assigned to a specific one, they won't be able to see their particular area until you assign them as part of that smart group. So here it says to add the smart group. I'm just going to show you what it looks like. If you were going to add one, you have add segment. And then once you click on it, it'll ask you for a name for your smart group. So if I was doing it for IDRC, I would say, okay, IDRC recruiters and write my name and I could put the description there. then it's going to ask me, all right, what are your filters? Who's going to be in this group? So I could say, you know, the IDRC recruiters are the ones that have the position as IDRC recruiter, or as the region as IDRC. So it'll specifically follow my particular requirements here for that smart group based on what it is. Now, maybe you have, you know, you have a local district, so you're going to say the state has to be New Mexico, the district or the region has to be Las Cruces, and the title of the recruiter has to be recruiter. So it will only show up them. Maybe it's service personnel and you're using it for something else, and you can go in and choose by that smart group, choose by those filters what you want to do. So here is, you can do up to multiple filters. So the state is this, the position is this, the, you know, the region is this. You can kind of decide those rules for those smart groups. Now, here's an example over here on the, so we talked a little bit about users and we talked a little bit about smart groups. Now we're going to look at overview. So the overview, whenever you open yours, it'll tell you anything, this is on the admin side, that any of your staff are doing. What's their activity? How long have they used it? How much time have they used it? And then below it'll have the names of the people that have used it from your state. So how do I tell what my users are doing? There's names over here. Normally it would say this person just logged in for the first time. You can say hi. This person made an entry into the Kansas recruiter logs. This person was promoted to an admin. So you can kind of see what's happening exactly there. So should I see users that are not in my state? I'm seeing 3 users that I don't know. No, you should not see. You can definitely reach out to me, Amber, and we can see if you're not, I'd be interested. Yeah, send me, you should not see anybody that's not assigned to you. Now, if someone has put yours in, for example, not put the right region, or you're not in the same smart group, you might see 3 users that are not assigned if you're not assigned to. But you definitely should not have people that are not in your state. So another thing of how this sets up is we have over on the side of Connecteam, there is always this kind of little side panel. And so I wanted you to see some of the side panels that we have right here. So for example, there's a communication one that says chat, updates, directory, and surveys. And we'll talk about each one of these. There's a position job openings, that job position related things. And so there's a time clock, there's a schedule manager, there's a task manager, there's mileage, and there's a form section. Then there's a section that we have that are state reports. So maybe the reports are specifically about contacts and services. And then in that folder, that's where those types of reports are there. Maybe it's recruiter reports, employer profiles, recruiter libraries. So these are all under the state reports section on the side little portal. Then there's another section for staff training. And so you can imagine these are the kind of things that we could do in Connecteam. So we create the folders. Kansas, I don't know if Alejandro's on here, but originally before we started creating the report, it used to be that anyone could go in and change. So it might say contacts and services, and then maybe 2 months later, all of a sudden someone puts New Hampshire contacts. And so we've locked that down now. We're the only ones that can change the folder names. So you have to work within the folder names that are already there. But we did adopt Kansas folder here. They already had created one. And so most of you guys won't see that one, but this is kind of the listing that you'll see. So I want to share with you how to create a report. And I think I'm just going to go into Connecteam. Let's see if I can go in really quick to Connecteam here and create a report. So if I'm going to create a report, the first thing I'm going to do is pick the folder that it's in. And so this one is already going to be in recruiter reports. It's going to be, and I'm going to put here where it says start from scratch. So I just want you to be able to see kind of the capabilities of the system and what this looks for. So if I start from scratch, it's like, okay, what do you want your name to be? And I could just put sample recruiter report. Now over here, it's going to let me see what the recruiter would see on the app on their phone. So this Connecteam is both web-based and app-based. So if you log in on your desktop, you're going to see it on your, just like in the web-based version. If you're on your phone, you're going to see the app-based version. You have to download it on your phone to be able to then later access it on the web. Like it won't, you can't just say, well, I'm not going to download the app. It won't let you then access it on the web version. So you have to have the app somewhere on your phone. So once you get to this point, then you can say add field. So let's create a report together. So in the chat box, put a question that you think would be a good question or the next thing that I should possibly put in the recruiter report. Let's work on this together. Just real quick. What do you think? What could be the next thing that I put down? I'm going to put the date just to start. So, and then you guys go ahead and put some stuff in the chat box here so I'm not just talking to myself. So we've got the date and it says format. Do you want the date and the time? Do I want to make it required? Yes, we'll put required. Confirm. So I now have the date. Okay, what the recruiter is scheduled to do. So we have different things we can do. It can be drop down, it can be open-ended. It could be yes or no, standard task, date, location. So let's make it open-ended and say, let's say this is a daily report. What activities were conducted today? Now, if you want more specifics, let me know. And then we say, all right, this is required. So maybe I'm going to say here in my description, please explain clearly all activities that were conducted related to IDNR. And so then I press confirm. So now you can see that the recruiter is going to see this here. Let's see, let's add something else. What else could we, maybe I want to put a number slider. How many I'm just making this crazy report up. Visits were conducted today. And then I can have it range up to 154. And we can require it. So now they're going to see this little slider that they can move up and down. How many families are interested in the summer program? Okay, so let's see. Let's go ahead and do open-ended. Are there, please list any families interested in attending the summer program. And we'll require this. Now, you notice on this, let me go back on this one. I can edit it. So if I, so there's some conditional formatting too. So let's say that you can say, hey, show only if you maybe had a question of, are there any families that you met today interested in the summer program? And they say yes. I could say, all right, if this number is, this or this, then show this. So there are some conditional formatting things that you can do. Okay, so let's say we want to have contact open-ended. We'll do it yes, open-ended here. Please provide the contact information of any follow-up needed. And then we can just make it required. Okay, so and you can do a lot of whatever it is that you want to have in your report. But once you have this created, you can then check out what's called the settings. So if you open up the settings, this exists in pretty much every type of report that you can do inside Connecteam in a lot of different areas. So general, I have here, these are my settings. I can limit the number of entries if I wanted to. I could limit, which there's no reason for us to do that. And right here, it says enable commenting on entries. So this means once your recruiters fill this out, when you're reviewing it, there is a way that you can actually comment back to them and they can see those notifications. Right here, enable users to download entries from the mobile app. You want to enable that so that if a recruiter is putting in their report, they could go ahead and see. Then over here, we have share options. So who's going to see this once it's created? So you can specify specific people that that are in your assigned area that could possibly see it then. Then you could filter it. There's a lot of things you can decide who's going to get it, whether it's an attachment, whether it's a link, however. Then there's something called manager fields. So I'll show you once someone turns in a report, you can actually add a note to them and say that it's reviewed. So maybe I want it to say reviewed here instead of just note. And maybe I want the status to say approved or not approved or whatever you want. And then maybe you want this one to say you have, let's tell you what, let's change this. Let's say that you have questions. And then on this one, you say that it's approved. Sorry. So And it says show this column and users, it can say restrict the column to edit to just their direct managers. So maybe you want just their direct, only certain people can answer that. Show this column in their app, notify when a change is made. So if I like those, I'll keep those. Then there can be reminders. Maybe I want our recruiters to fill this out every Friday and remind them to fill it out by 3 p.m. And if they didn't fill it out by 3 p.m., I'm going to send another one at 5 o'clock. Say, hey, remember you got to fill this out today. And so they can have that. So you set up when you want those reminders to be sent out. And then you can set an auto report so it'll automatically report this for you once a week or something. Now I press confirm. And so it says, okay, so we now have this. So it says, do you want to save it? Yeah, I want to save it how it is. Now it says, who's going to get this report? Who's going to actually fill this out? So I can press smart groups. And if I press smart groups, just my smart groups that are assigned to my area will show up. So you could kind of see if there was something with, these particular recruiters we're working with this one time. So if I want just them to get it, then I can press next. And I'm just going to say sample report. This will give them a notification that says, hey, Jessica just made a new report for you. And I can send a reminder, and I can also schedule removal from the app. So if I don't want them to see this, if this report no longer needs to be available after so many weeks or something like that, I can do that. And then I press next. And then it says your asset is ready to go, and it's going to be sent to that person. So something, just kind of see how that's set up. It's pretty easy to use. You could use it for really any way that you want. And it's pretty straightforward. So just as a reminder, one cool thing about each one of these is you can always learn about the feature. When I go to create a new report, over here it says this little pink box says, let me make sure I'm sharing the right screen. Yes. It'll say learn about this feature. That means Connecteam has a video right there that you can watch. If you're brand new and you're thinking, how was I supposed to do this? You can watch the 2-3 minute video. It'll walk you through how to create a report. You'll know exactly what you need to do. So as a reminder, you're going to pick what you want there. You're going to create the report that you want. You're going to add the description that you want. And you're going to be able to save those changes and decide who's going to get it. Now, the other thing I didn't show you was selecting users. You can, if you don't want to assign it to a particular group, maybe it's just, you just have 1 or 2 recruiters and you want to pick just them, you can also go in and publish it just to those 2 people. So if you select users, a listing of users that are available are going to show up, and then you select the ones that should have access to that. So if you're picking, you do not want to assign it to everybody, because that means everybody's going to get it. It needs to be just to your smart groups. So creating a report, once I create the report, which I'll go in and show you in just a second, you've got to decide who it needs to see the report. So they have something called asset admins. These are just the ones that Connecteam calls reports assets. So they're the ones that are going to be able to see the report. So basically it's report admins or asset admins right there. So let me see if I can share that in right here. So when I press confirm, it's going to then show my report. So right now, nobody's filled it out. There are 2 people that are assigned to it. And if I need to make sure that maybe somebody else has access to this, and Alex, I don't know if you're on here or not. Let's say I just wanted Alex Johnson to be able to have access to that. I could click on that, and then he would be able to see that. But I don't really want to do that to him. But once that will show up, he would be up here and you could see. So if you have staff saying, I can't see the report, I'm not seeing what they're coming in, 90% of the time, the problem is right here. Either they're not assigned to the smart group that was assigned that particular report, or they're not assigned as the asset admin for that particular report. Now, notice how I showed you, I mentioned before that there was on the side, there are these particular things. We have overview, the activity, we have users, smart groups. Then we have a chat function, updates function, directory, and surveys. So I'm going to go back to my slides so I don't share somebody's information over there. So if you want someone else to see the report, reminder, you got to go there and make sure they're an asset admin. And then once you create a report, you have to publish it. If I don't finish it, I can just leave it in there and not assign it. but it's still draft until I assign it to somebody and then it becomes published. So you can edit the reports. Maybe you thought you had the report everything exactly how you wanted it, and then you're saying, oh man, I wish we had this question. Go back, you can go to those settings, you can under options, and again, here's that learn about the feature, here's the preview, here's the option. You can be able to see that. So determining what your report needs to contain, you really want to think about what you want to get. What's the purpose of this report? How are you going to use it? What are you going to do with the data? So maybe you're trying to do re-verifications. It's September and you're trying to check how many of your kiddos that still have eligibility left are still present in your state. So maybe your report is something like, who did you contact? Were they present? What proof do you have that shows that they're still around? And this is going to be your log that you're going to be able to keep track of, and that your data staff could be able to go in, and they would need to be an asset admin to be able to go in and download that spreadsheet. So what happens in Connecteam is any information that you put in can be downloaded and sent out in Excel. So there's a way that you can kind of look at it and then filter your responses that you want to see and then download it into an Excel. And I'll show that in a bit. So we also have a whole bunch of templates. So let me see if I can share, go back to Connecteam. If I want to create a new report, I'm going to go over here and I put add new. One of my options is to use a template. So if you click on this, there are a bunch of reports that we already created. These were some of the best of our states when they were creating reports. So there is a weekly recruiter report over here, for example. So let's say, what's today's date? What was your total mileage? What were your total hours of IDNR? What counties or cities were you working in? Describe your activities, list any farms, community partners, whoever, and include the date. Describe any follow-up needs. Describe the number of youth that you found, any activities or services provided. So there's an example of one. Maybe I don't want that one. Maybe I want a needs survey. And so here's an example of a needs survey. Please feel, it's like here, this was for a family or youth, the resource that they need. Identify the MEP program that's closest. Please check off. And then there's a listing of things that they could look at. What is it that they're really needing? And so this one lists a whole bunch of stuff. If you provide anything, list what you did. Please check your area. So this is a pretty in-depth needs assessment. Then we have a contact log. We have a mileage report. We have a recruiter action plan, for example. This is planning for the following week. What are you planning to do? Please provide a brief description of what you're going to do. If you're a 40-hour employee, describe it by day. And so it has the days of what they're going to do. We have another one that's for mapping. So this was places that the recruiter might have visited, what happened. Supplemental services, what was provided. There's a visit report. If you're visiting, you're doing a home visit, what you did. This one, for example, provides an opportunity for an audio report. And so maybe you want to record something instead of typing it. We have a sick leave form. We have a partner profile. We have a farm profile, some examples of daily reports. And then Connecteam has a ton of just a bunch of templates that they just use, that could be available to anybody. Ours are all at the beginning of this. And then every now and then people will then add theirs to our templates. We go ahead and delete those out if someone saved theirs as a template. So let's say that I wanted to use this weekly recruiter report. I can select it. Once I select it, I can change any of the questions that I want. Maybe there's something that I don't want on there or something else that I wanted added in. And you can change that. Let's see. Adrian says the location services can be locked to be automatically. All right, wait, let me look and see what everyone put. How many visit found? Okay, these are the questions. And then Adrian says the location services can be locked to be logged automatically, or will the user always have the chance to enter it manually? Okay, so location, there's a couple ways that we're talking about location. And so I'm going to assume you're talking about maybe they're going to a farm visit and you want to be able to just take right then to log in that particular coordinates of the location. There is a way that you can do that. There's checking in. Then maybe give me a little bit more background on what your question is for. So there is like right here, if I'm going to do, let me go back. Let me go to the form. I'm going to this chart. Let me share with you a different one. So let's say that it was data for mapping right here. On this one, the location that you visited, let me select this. First location that was visited here, you can edit, you can decide whether you want them to do a location stamp capture. So if you have if they have Wi-Fi, if they have cell service at that point, they can actually say, maybe they can't find the address and they just want to lock right in what the GPS coordinates are right there. You could have that be a location stamp capture, instead of them manually putting something in on that. There also is something in Connecteam, which may be what you're referring to, that on a timesheet, on a time log, a clock in thing that you can have that kind of track their location, but that's only if it's enabled. That's for something else. So most of the time on these, we don't require the location stamp, because in case they don't have access to Wi-Fi or something like that, you definitely don't want that in. Now, the app doesn't work unless there is cell service at the point. So if not, you're going to have to wait till you do have that, because it is an app-based program. It's not kind of like a library until it's waiting. It will hold everything that you had put in up to that point, but you cannot use it, be actively. If you have no cell service at that point or no Wi-Fi, it's not going to work until you're back on the Wi-Fi. I don't know if that helps you with your question. So location stamp is really when you want them. We do let them have that feature if they want that, because sometimes you're out in a place and you're not sure what the road is, or you're not sure exactly, and it'll give you that exact coordinate. And so you can definitely keep that in there. Okay. So again, those templates should make your life a little bit easier if you're trying to create things, and you don't have to use them, but it is helpful sometimes to see the different types of templates that are already in there, and you can figure out how you want to use those in relation to what you're doing. Just checking on my time. Okay. So once you select the template, you'll be able to modify and change it as needed. And we don't encourage you to make templates, because there is this little thing that says save as template, and that means everyone can see it. We just, if you wind up making a template, we'll probably delete it out. But you want to save it so that it's directly on your account, not, something that everybody else can see. So here, and then you can decide once you create this, again, here's your settings. You can do those automatic reports and notifications. You can determine who's going to see what. Remember to enable them to be able to download. If you want them to be able to download, I think a lot of times recruiters, it's helpful for them to see their reports that they created and be able to go back, and it's not just something that's going off that they can't, they spend all this time creating it and then they can't have access to it. So you want to also determine who's going to be able to get those reports of, summary reports. And I'm going to stop share for just a second while I set something up so that you guys can see. I want to share an example of what it looks like once something is created. And so I'm going to go find one that's in-house for our IDRC's been working on something. And so I'm going to share something here real quick that shouldn't have any information that would have problem. Okay, so let me see if I can share what I'm doing. So once you have a report, you can go in and look at the entries. And so you can see the entries, and then you can see the summary. And then over here on this side will be something that says export. So this is a particular report that's just showing different farms that have been visited. And there's some photos in it. There's some the questions we're asking, like, when did you visit? What was the priority color when you went there? Was it something that should be visited often? What were the comments? What's the follow-up date? What happened? I can take everything that was put in this report and press export, and it'll go into an Excel spreadsheet. So every single report that we have that you create has that same functionality, that same capability to be able to do that. So you cannot put information. I'll talk a little bit about a document section that we have that's in Connecteam, but just remember, Connecteam is a reporting tool that you can then pull information out 90% of the time. And I say 90% of the time because there is a documents feature that we can upload some documents for recruiters to see. So, so this is just something that, report setting, again, you can see. Let me go back to where I was. So at the end of this, there could be, if I had put in this report for them to be able to provide report suggestions back to the recruiter, there would be an extra column here that would be for comments that you could be able to see. And so that's where that extra part is added in. So those were report settings reminder again. Now we're going to talk a little bit about the chat and the update function. So chat, Connecteam, rather than if maybe you're using your cell phone and you don't want all your internal chats to just be on your regular chat function on your cell phone. They're all internal in the app for Connecteam, but you can use a chat just like you would if you were just chatting or texting a friend or something with your phone. It has that within the capabilities inside of Connecteam. There's also something called an update function. So let me see if I can, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to share. And let me close this out. And then let me go to updates. So if I want to create an update, so the way this works is on the app, if I create an app, I create an update, my users that are working with me will be able to open that up. And when they first open Connecteam, it will show them any of their updates from any of their supervisors. So I'm going to press, this is a little bit different. I could say sample update. So maybe give me, maybe you have, let's just say the data summit is still going on. Please log in. So I can make this whatever. Oh, that's probably too much right there. So let me do something. I'm just going to put data summit still going on. And then down here, I can put whatever I want. And I can add images. I can add video. It can be a link. I can add GIFs. It'll let me, put whatever I want on there. I can add files. I can add directly from YouTube, links, whatever I want there. And you can also add shortcuts. So maybe you just created a new report and it is in your recruiter report and you want them to be able to see that. So you can click there and it would then, I'm just going to do one of ours. It will then let them see that direct link. So many times what I use this for is to let recruiters know of new reports that have been created, to just say, hey, check out the new report. And so that would just, the new recruiter, that pig is kind of distracting. Report. So once I do this, it's the same idea as the report. I'm then gonna, it's kind of an ugly little update that I've made here. You can change it. Maybe I don't like that. And maybe I think it needs to look like this. I can just kind of change. There's a lot of different functions over there. Or maybe I just want to do a color. This is making me crazy. And I'm going to get rid of the pig. So I can then, send this to my person, press next, and it's going to say, okay, is this to which smart group is it, or is it to specific users? And I can click on that and publish it. Then once I publish it, I can also see whether they ever viewed it. So maybe, let me see if I can find one that I created. So I can see, for example, when it was viewed. This was something we were working on the other day. And so I can see when it was viewed and when it was clicked and, what was on there. And so with your updates, you can go in and create those and be able to see that. So I'm trying to see if I see some of our older ones. So you can see a lot of states use these. There's a lot of things that they do with them. So that's what the updates are. So let me go back and share my other slides. So it's kind of a cool one. There also is an events one that you can do that you can kind of let people know about and kind of see. You can see who actually looked at it. Then also under the chat, so there's the chat function, there's the team function, and there's the channel function. Chat is just from user to user. Team, it's like group chat. You decide who's going to be on there. Channel is you just blast out a bunch of information and they can't respond. So you can just set up that maybe you just want them, hey guys, make sure you do this. And you don't really need them to respond. It's just kind of a notification. So just remember, chat is just with your peers. Just one person to another one. New team is your group of people that are on that, and the news channel. And you can set those up how you want. So understanding what a channel is, you can decide who's in the channel and who can add or take out people in the channel. So channels are a great way to communicate announcements to your users. They cannot comment. You can message it anonymously. You can just put it on there. So maybe it's just something they need to know, but you don't particularly have to put, Jessica says this, it's just, general information that they need to have. So you can publish it to current smart groups or to selected users. Now, when it says future users, so maybe I have a Minnesota group chat or group channel, and they're going to add a new recruiter next week, but that person's not on there yet. As long as they meet the filters of having their state or having whatever filters you set up, as soon as they belong to that new group, then they'll go ahead and get those updates also. So a team is group chat. Basically, you add your teammates and they can all communicate back and forth on there. So accessing and reviewing reports, you can click entries and be able to see what people have submitted. Now, I showed you what it looked like where you could download from the entries. That would be when you first open up your report, you'll be able to see show entries and you can kind of see what's on there. Then once you open that up, there's that little export button over here to be able to see. I can also, maybe I just need to see only the reports that are for Dodge City, for example. I could put that in my search, or I can set the filter criteria over here to only see certain dates, and then they will be the only ones that show up. Accessing and reviewing reports, there's a manager section that is at the end when you say that you want them to be able to comment, and you can put questions or comments, you can put reviewed, and they can mark it, and then the recruiters will be able to see, or whoever is using it will be able to see that you access that. Let me check the chat and see if there's any comments. Nope, not yet. Okay. So accessing, reviewing reports, all reports can be exported into Excel and they can be downloaded. You cannot upload information into Connecteam except for documents, which is an advanced thing that we'll talk about in the next session. You can only export what is entered in. Using the help feature. There is a help feature all the time on Connecteam that's pretty prevalent. Let me go ahead and just open up my update that I just made. Let's see, maybe I'll go to recruiter reports and I'll open that report that I was. So if I get stuck at all, there's always this little thing down here that says, hey, how can we help? Again, you can also see, if you click up, make that go away. If you can see, learn more about this feature, it'll say, hey, do you want to watch this? Here's the basics. Here's how to customize, and it'll let me see these videos that I can see over here on the side. It does that all the time. And that can be a real helpful feature to be able to kind of get the help that you need. Connecteam also has a huge amount of resources that, let me see if this takes me back to, go back to this particular one. Let's see. To find let me share what we have on our website about Connecteam. Let's see. Let me share what I need to. And then I'm going to take specific questions from you guys about Connecteam. So when you get to our website, towards the bottom, we have Connecteam training videos. So these are some of our ones that we find are super helpful. You can also just Google Connecteam and just see what's on there. And they've got all sorts of, if you go to Connecteam and you, let's see if we can make this. If you just look at their videos,
an employee management.
Let's see, make sure I'm sharing this. You can scroll down and see the kind of things that they have. They have everything from events to the directory to courses. If you look at their their courses, how to create a digital course, popular videos, they've got all sorts of information that you can kind of look on there at their time clock and just a whole bunch of other things that are there. So I'm going to go in and share a few more things from Connecteam because these are the kind of the basics. So let's look at what we promised to share in the beginning, and let's look at where we are. So you should now know how to add users, how to assign someone different positions and areas, how to create smart groups, how to review the activity of users, how to create a folder to put the report in, how to choose that. Basically, you're going to pick that from the side, how to get a report, how to use those templates, how to assign a report, how to have those other admins, how to get those automatic notifications, those where you go in under the settings and you decide who's going to get those, understanding the difference between a channel and the report, and be able to provide feedback directly to recruiters. So I'm sure some of you have some specific questions. So what questions do you have? Those of you that are new to this or in general, if you want to unmute yourself, you can. I mean, if you want me to unmute you, let me know. But go ahead and put your questions that you have kind of in general about this. So just to let you know, the advanced function that we're going to talk about is assigning tasks, using the time clock, the mileage, getting it to integrate with different tools, the creating courses, the documents, those kind of things we're going to talk about in the next session. This is really just to get you started and to kind of see. And I just remembered something that I need to share. But in the meantime, if you have a question or a comment, go ahead and put that in the chat box. Let's see. So what I wanted to share over here is you have an admin view and a user's view on the desktop version. Same thing on the app. And so you can go ahead and switch to your user's view. When I switch to my user views, I'm going to see anything that was assigned to me before, anything that was added. I'm not going to see all of those other things. I'm just going to see over here my chat, my updates. If I'm assigned a time clock, if I'm assigned a specific schedule or task, or there's news events that I need to be aware of, or specific reports that are assigned to me. There also is something that are called HR recognitions that we'll talk about in the advanced one, that you can kind of send badges and awards. So there's a lot that you can do with this, but remember you have the admin side and the user side. So there's a question, does it like have a forum system where you can have threads for each COE, for example, and note inside those threads all the things? No. No, again, remember this is a report-based kind of thing. So it's not like you could have a chat if you were going to ask a recruiter or somebody about a question and all of that would be there. But this is report-based. So if I wanted to have COE approve list, for example, I could have a report that as soon as a COE is approved, I mean, there's way better ways to do it, that a recruiter could see that, but it's not a forum kind of thing where you can see all the threads related to it. It's a report that's filled out that you can then see what happens. So it's very effective as like daily reports, recruiter, anything related to recruiter efforts, farm visits, home visits, all of those kind of things. You can easily, but they have to fill out a report, and then that information would be available to you in that report. So we also have a lot of time, time logging kind of functions and stuff that we'll talk about in the next session. But just remember, very much basics, forms. So some of you that have used it, can you, if anyone wants to unmute themselves, they can. You can set up a report that follows the progress of a COE using the manager fields. Yes, yeah, you could. So if anyone wants to unmute themselves and talk about maybe how they've used it, or if you want to put it in the chat box, feel free to raise your hand if you want to share anything, and then put any questions that you have in the chat box. So I think we have, right now I'm not seeing a lot of questions, which is fine. Anybody want to share how they use it? What kind of things that they use it for? Aaron says, I see the application of Connecteam to internal MEP recruitment management. To what degree have IDRC members used Connecteams for engaging families? If not at all appropriate versus MEP recruitment management. So that is something that very early on, states were like, well, what about home visits? And so the system is a secure system, and they can definitely provide all the, the background for that. Because our purpose mainly was for recruitment, we have used it mainly for that, but we have plenty of states that use it for all sorts of things. So they may keep track of needs assessment visits, or they may keep track of home visits when they go in and what was provided. And so in lots of cases in our states, the data person who would normally, put services in, for example, may have access to those reports. You can really create any sort of report that you need to manage your migrant ed program, that you need staff to fill out. So it just depends on how you want to set that up. Other questions? Oh, I got two hands, it looks like. Let me see who's
I
hand.
unmuted Evelyn. I mean, she can unmute herself.
Okay, Evelyn, if you want to share, I believe Evelyn has used it a bunch, if I'm.
Yeah, I can just speak to the COE. I mean, we use it in a lot of capacities, but one thing we've integrated this year is from the time the COE is completed, our recruiter enters that information. And then once it's accepted, I can go in and I enter accepted, and it notifies directly the support service provider that will service them. Then it follows all the contacts from the service provider, like all the calls they tried to make, kind of a review of the initial assessment, those types of things that have the data components, and then also the instructional services. So it's kind of like our onboarding process of a new COE. So that's been really helpful to kind of follow along that process.
Very good. Are you in Nebraska?
Yes,
Okay. You've trained for us before. I'm thinking.
yes.
Crazy. Okay. We have a,
Damaris can unmute as well if she would like.
Yeah. Can you guys hear me?
we can.
Okay. Yeah, I love Connecteam. The only thing that I've been having issues is to give reception or make Connecteam work when I'm in the field. Like sometimes I'm registering a family and Connecteam it's not working, so I'm not able to put all the information there in that specific time. I had to wait to when I come back home and put all the information about the home visit that I did.
Yeah, I mean, if you live in an area where there's not a lot of cell reception, or then that it is totally based on, you have to have access. So if you're, we always believe that you should keep notes, but we realize a lot of people, this is hopefully so you don't have to keep notes. But if you're in an area where you don't have good cell reception, then you definitely would still have to do it that way.
Yeah, and I've been noticed that for some reason, Teams been working in the areas the Connecteam does not work.
Yeah, I'm not sure. But they were very clear with us from the very beginning, because we were always like, what about integration when there's no reception? And so there are some things, depending on the tool that you're using, but generally, like if you've got good reception most of the time, or what you're doing is at lunch, maybe you go eat somewhere that has Wi-Fi and you just log in what you did, that morning. And so a lot of times there's plenty of public Wi-Fi in a lot of different places that you can kind of access to stop every so often and put whatever you want in there based on that. Okay, any other questions or comments? Okay, so I encourage you, if you really want to, be able to kind of see the full capacity of Connecteam, like I said, we're gonna have another one here in about a half an hour or so that will cover the advanced part. If you are a new member state, IDRC, like Colorado, for example, or Texas, and you guys want more, examples of how our member states are using it, of course, we can do that. There are states like, for example, Nebraska that particularly used it so much that they were like, we want our own system. And so we actually were able to remove all of their users from our system because they wanted to just manage it internally, and you 100% can do that. And they wanted to buy it themselves and have their own program. And so we think that's wonderful. Like Evelyn says, we love Connecteam. It's helped us create an effective systems for our project. So that's the cool thing, is you can kind of reach out to other states and say, hey, how are you using it? What are you doing it? We don't require any particular use of it. We sometimes do pilots with our states. For example, when we first came out with all the ag profile information, that we have online, we asked states to go through and do home visits or farm visits. And they went ahead and we were able to kind of see whether the tool helped them out. And the majority of them, we had some reluctant states in the beginning, and once they actually used it in the field, they found it as a pretty effective tool. But it's the best part about it is that you can customize it to your particular state, your particular situation. So like Erin says, great resource with tons of customization. They'd be interested in knowing. So definitely reach out to us. Sorry, I'll start coughing. How is this integrated with the Power BI list? It's not integrated at all with the Power BI list. That's two totally different things. Power BI, sorry, I'm talking too much and makes me cough. Power BI is a tool that lets you be able to see what's happening with agriculture based off the ag census. This is a tool that helps you be able to keep track of, what's happening internally and how you want, your different efforts in different places. So hopefully that helps you out. All right, well, if those are all the questions that we have for right now, I invite you to join us here in about a half an hour. And we'll go over the advanced one. And any of new states, reach out to us. Any, non-IDRC states, you can just reach out Connecteam for those 10 free accounts. But we'll be glad to work with you and hope this helps you with just kind of dipping your toes in to see if this is something that you want to work with more. So we appreciate your time, and we'll see you in one more session if you want to learn a little bit more. So thank you very much.